is, listen, there's three people in life. There's the person who threw the trash on the ground, there's the person who walked over that trash, and there's the person who picked it up and put it in the trash can. Like, which one do you guys want to be? Yet again, it goes back to being a good leader, whether it's in business or in the home. That means I can't walk over a piece of trash.
Yeah, because then they're going to see you.
They're going to see me doing it, right? And now it's okay. Like, show them the way. If I'm not there at the business at a certain time, if I'm not to my meetings on time, if I'm not doing that, how can I expect them to do that?
Hey guys, hey everybody, welcome back to my show. Today we have somebody special that we've never interviewed before. And before that you introduce yourself and tell your whole story, number one, we just took out a measuring tape and we measured his big old biceps. They are bigger than Andy Elliott's. I'm just kidding, we didn't do that. But that was the first thing I said we were gonna do.
That was the first thing you said, yeah, and I said I need a pump then first or something.
I was like, he got the big old guns out. I'm like, okay, like I should have done some push-ups right before we started. We should, next time, we'll do that.
I'm in.
We'll create like a part 2 series. But I have this man here sitting next to me, and the reason why we're putting him on the show is because not only is he a great businessman, has great business ethics, but my favorite thing that I see about him is he brings his family along with him in life. And if you take a look at all his photos, his wife is there, his kids are there. And most people in business now, they don't think about their kids and their family. They leave them behind because they just want to chase the dollar bill every single day. And we also had a prayer right before this. And the things of what he's praying for and putting out into the universe and for other people, I'm like, okay, that reconfirms that we have the right person on here. So I have Mr. Jay Kline, and he's local here to Arizona, a local native. Are you here from Arizona?
Yeah, from Arizona as well, yep.
Very good, and he is a general manager. I don't even want to say a manager. Can I say like a leader, like a general leader? Can we say leader instead?
I like that, yeah.
Like you don't want to manage people. You don't want to be a boss. You want to lead people. Yep. So he is an amazing leader inside of his company. Been with Penguin Heating and Air Cooling.
Yep.
Can I say all those things? Heating, air,
cooling, plumbing, electrical, all that, yeah.
Yes, and he's been with the company for 12 years, and his story is amazing, so we decided to have him on the show. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Sit back so now I get comfortable. But, well, before we begin, on every single show that I do, I always ask this person the same question every single time, and I want to ask you that too as well. Why do you think people should listen to this podcast? There's a lot of people on the other side. Yep. Why should they listen to this versus skipping over to the next one?
Yeah, I think, honestly, for the big reason of I'm not amazing, right? Like, I don't have any special secret, any special sauce. Like, there's nothing to it. It's just work hard, have good values, right? And just drive, just push, just keep going. Like, and that's one of the things. I started in this industry as, like when I first started this company, I was an installer / technician. Like, I was at the bottom. There was, only a few of us there. And just being able to just do that, just have good values, have good work ethic, just push hard, you can get there. Like, a lot of people think that when they start out at that level, oh, well, that's for the other guy. That's for the guy that has this crazy, education, or he has this or this or this. And it's like, no, you don't need that. Like, you can, with hard work, with dedication, with good values, you can do that yourself and you can get there. And so I think it's just kind of a reminder to all those people that, hey, you don't have to have some crazy story that helped put you there. It's like, you can put yourself there.
By doing the hard work.
That's it.
That's super cool. So, and you went to high school out here too. So walk us through your story of like 18 years old. Did you get straight into heating and cooling right at 18?
I did. So my parents owned a heating and air conditioning company growing up. A very small company. I'm from Wilcox, Arizona, like a super small town. My graduating class was 83 kids in my senior year, so very small. But that's where I grew up, and I was working, riding in a service truck with my dad, riding a service truck with my grandpa. My grandpa started the business. And so I just kind of grew up in the business, and I always loved working with my hands, kind of that hard work. My grandpa and my dad gave me a ton of work ethic, right, growing up. And I feel like a lot of that old school work ethic is missed these days, right? But that's one of the things that I loved, is just getting in there, working hard. And if you do that, right, like, you can succeed, you can do well. So I started that, went to high school, graduated high school, moved to Tucson, and started going to a community college there, and was working part-time for a heating and air conditioning company, working through the summers. It was a great opportunity to make my money in the summer and not have to work during the school year. I could focus on school. After the college there, I transferred up to ASU and finished out there, but I was still doing the same. I was still working for a heating and air conditioning company. I had worked for 2 different companies at the time, and it's funny because one of the companies I worked for was an owner of Penguin Air, but he had a previous company that he sold kind of in the past when I was still working for him. He sold it and kind of got out of the business and then got back in it and started Penguin. So that's kind of where that came from as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What so yeah, how did you know that you wanted to be a leader? Because you're telling me like all these things that you went through, and man, it's so easy for people to get stuck just in the sales job role or like the technician role because it's easy, it's comfortable, you know what to do, but like you obviously had to take some risk and do uncomfortable things for you to get into leadership. So how did you know, like, did your parents tell you as a kid, like, you're going to be a great leader one day? Or like, did they say stuff like, because my parents didn't tell me that.
No.
But I just like figured it out, like I knew I wanted to be because I was more on the creative side. So how did you know, like, hey, I want to lead people. Like I want to.
And I think a little bit of it is, I think a big part of being a leader is wanting to help people, right? Wanting to help other people grow. And that was one of the big things that I felt that kind of helped push me in that scenario, right? Like I immediately started like loving to jump in on the trainings, right? And I was just a technician at the time, but like I would, get up and share my story and how this is how I do things. This is how, I do this setup. And, you guys ask like, how am I producing well and doing these numbers? Well, this is how, like I enjoy doing that and sharing that, I didn't want to keep any of that stuff that I used as a secret. Like might as well help everybody else do it as well. It's just going to help me, help the company, help them. And so I think that was kind of the biggest thing is just finding that leadership role and just wanting to help people, wanting to improve people, and taking enjoyment in that myself. It was almost more enjoyable doing that piece than it was doing the actual sale myself, but like having somebody call me and say, they rocked it, they just did a sale, they used what I said, and it worked.
Yeah, it's a gift for you too.
Yeah.
You gifted yourself something by helping other people, and you got to experience that. That's cool. I don't interview a lot of men that feel happy off of those things. Yeah. Usually it's women that are have more empathy, but it's neat when guys have that. Like you want to just help more people. Did you meet, how long have you been married with your wife? Did you meet her at Penguin, or how did you?
So my wife, high school sweethearts. So now we didn't start dating until right after high school. Literally the summer after high school, we kind of started dating, and yeah, we've just been together since. She's amazing. I mean, she has made me who I am today, like made me a much better person than I was before. I kind of had a rough childhood growing up and that kind of stuff. And she came from a really good family, good values, Christian family, and that she brought me to the Lord. She did all of that stuff for me. And it was funny because, of course, not to get too much into it, but like, I would start like, oh yeah, babe, I'll go to church with you just for you, but it was amazing how quickly he changed my heart, and like that immediately, like I took to it, and now to be so involved in that is amazing.
That's cool. What do you guys go to? What church do you guys go to?
So we go to Grace Fellowship Church. It's out in Buckeye.
Oh, I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's a smaller church. I love it because you still get that kind of small feel. Everybody knows each other. Yeah. Kind of have that true community there as well.
Yeah, that's cool. And Penguin right now, you said in the background, people can't see the cameras, but we have Princess back here with us, and she's an executive at the company too as well. So she was saying you guys have about like 90 to 100 team members inside of your company. Do you guys talk about faith? Do you leave it open to them? Is that because a lot of corporations are like, no, you're not allowed to mix things, but you guys, it sounds like you're not at a corporate level yet. You're still like somewhat mom and pop owned, like we're mom and pop technically owned. So is that a thing? I like to talk about that because it's somewhat controversial, because there's some companies that don't allow it, some people do. There's some people that are like, no, you're not allowed to mix family and business together. So are your owners faith-based, or do you guys bring that into your company?
So one of the owners was very faith-based. So both of the owners now are out. They're no longer involved in employees in a sense of the business. But yes, one of the owners was very, very faith-based. He was a Christian, and so they are very open to it. I would say that we have not, being here and kind of having the experience with you guys, and like even doing the prayer before the podcast, I'm like I need to bring back more of this. I need to do more of this, right?
Yeah, you feel good,
I
you
talk
know?
about it. I do stuff like everybody knows that, I'm involved in the church, and we have a lot of guys that are involved in the church and stuff, that work for us, and we have those conversations. But actually, on a bigger platform, in a sense, we don't we don't do anything for the company meetings, that kind of stuff. But but I like it. I'm digging it.
What have you done in your career that has gotten you on the news? I've seen you on the news
Yeah.
a couple of times, and how is it chosen in the company that you're the front face? It looks like you're the front face of the whole company. So like, what makes them choose Jay to be the front face instead of anybody else?
So, very funny story.
If this doesn't make me laugh, I'm going to be upset. I'm just
yes,
kidding.
no,
I won't be.
It should. It should.
Okay.
So, the owners, it's a good thing they're no longer my bosses, but because they're gonna be unhappy I share this story with them. But
Share it. It's fine. We'll make the link unlisted
yeah.
on YouTube.
So I had just started with the business, and they had kind of signed up for like the very first live kind of little TV spot to host Penguin, right? And so they had kind of done that. They went onto a show. They had something on Channel 15. I forget, like kind of one of those midday shows. And as they're talking, they start kind of like stumbling. One of them stumbles and like is muttering, like he was saying maintenance, but he was like maintenance.
Oh no.
And so then the other one got really nervous.
Oh no.
The other one passed out on live camera.
Oh no.
Yeah, so immediately they came back and were like, "You're doing it next time."
Oh yeah.
And that
'cause
was
they
that
couldn't
was
handle public
yes,
speaking.
yes, no, they did not like that at all. And so that's kind of what happened is they were like, "Hey, we're not doing it, but we want to keep doing it, so you're doing it." And so
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." Yeah.
Nice. What do you think that they saw in you to be able to do it? Why you?
I think just the fact of, like I say, liking that leadership role. Of course, I enjoy doing the meetings. I enjoy getting up and talking, to the team. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy sharing. I enjoy talking like that. And that was kind of my favorite part of being with a customer, right? Is that interaction as well. And so I think that's just something that I enjoy. And they saw that and were like, "Hey, let's see if you want to give it a shot."
You did a post like I think 6 months to a year ago, and it's you in front of a camera with a wall, and the wall reads, "It's not just about don't enjoy just the journey. It's about
Yes.
it's about the journey, not the destiny."
Not the destination. Yeah.
Did you put that there? Was that your
I
recommendation?
did. So that was one of the owners. One of the owners loved that quote. But it's several quotes that we really like and live by throughout the office, and that's in our big training room. That's in our big training room. Fills up a whole wall, and it's just something that we talk about a lot, because that quote can be used so small scale and so large scale, right? Like with every customer interaction that you have, it's not about going through the process and say it's a sales. It's not about getting that sale, right? It's about the interaction with the homeowner to get to that point. If you did all of that right, if you did the journey right, the destination is going to kind of happen on its own. And so we can use it in so many different levels. And that's, I use it, like say, with myself, my family. And that's something that, even I use as the leadership level, right? Like, hey, we have goals, but how are we going to reach those goals? How do we want to, kind of combat that? How do we want to tackle these things and kind of really start and enjoying the journey, not just that big goal destination part, right? But truly making it so that we enjoy going to that goal all together.
Yeah, I wish I should have taken a photo of it, but at my house, our house is a little crazy. I believe in brainwashing myself for success every day, and I do everything possible to keep myself brainwashed. And that means my environment, the people that I'm around, my spouse, people like yourself.
Yep.
So when you go to our house, we have like glass windows that are on the outside, the kitchen area connects out into the front patio, and it's like 4 sliding glass doors, and then around the dining room kitchen area, it's got a couple of other windows. And so every new person that comes over to our house, they get a marker and they write down their 90-day goal, and they put their name and they take a photo of it. So when you go to our house, it's got writing all over the walls.
That's
because
cool.
It inspires me.
Yeah.
And I had somebody come over the other day, and this gal came over, and she's like, "Oh, I like that would never fly up my house. Like, I'm not gonna." Well, number one, it's not permanent marker; it's on glass.
Yeah.
But number two, it's like, I love that because when I wake up in the morning, it's a reminder that all these people are counting on me, and I'm counting on them, and they made a commitment, so you got to keep a commitment.
Yeah.
But inside of our bathroom, that's just the outside of our house. In our bathrooms, all of our bathrooms in our house have positive affirmations written all over it. So in our downstairs bathroom, I have that quote written on there. I'll have to take a picture of it and send it to you later, because I thought that was really neat, that we believe the same thing. We have so many people come in and out of our house. So it's like, if I'm going to brainwash myself, I have people coming over. I want them to see that too.
Yeah.
And then also, you mentioned the journey. You said it's not just in life, but it's also through a sale, like a transaction as well. And I preach that so much. I identify myself as you when you say that, because I tell people, even if you don't make the sale, let's say for whatever reason, like you don't close 100 for 100 every single time, things happen, it is what it is. Did you give that client, did you inspire them and motivate them so much to, when they are ready, or when they need your services, or when they know of somebody that needs your services, that you are the front face of the company? Like, they won't think of anybody else. Like, I'll just tell you, like, I'm not going to mention their name, but there was another plumbing company that I was speaking with, and it's like they just didn't give me that experience that I was looking for, you know, and it wasn't personable. Also, here's another thing that I want to mention when it comes to interacting with people. What's your speed level like? Like, if I text you and I need something, or I need plumbing, or, you know, like we've got a gal that comes over to our house and cleans every 2 weeks. Like, what's your level of speed? Like, hey, I'm texting you. Can you be here next week? You know, and it takes you freaking 10 hours to reply back to me. Like, then that makes me think, okay, is there a leak in your business? Do you need assistance? Like, is your company short on staff, you know? So I love that you see those opportunities. So what's like your business goal that you have? Are you want to get up? Now, is there somebody above you still in the company?
So we are owned by a private equity group. So in a sense, I have like a regional manager that is above me.
Okay. So like, do you have your own personal business goals, or like, do you want to open up a second location in Tucson?
So we do. We have our own, and I have my own goals, right, on like what I want to achieve and what I want to do in the business. And it's great, the company that we partnered with, like, they let us do that, right? Like, they're very hands-off. Like, there's nobody from them who's like, you know, randomly stopping in and there all the time, or has like an office or implanted managers in or anything like that, right? It's hey, we partnered with you as a business because you're a good, solid business. Keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we have some tools to help you do that and grow as well. And so with that aspect, like, you know, we were kind of joking about it in our, we do a leadership training every Thursday. A lot of it is like, we read different books together and that kind of stuff, and then we'll, you know, in a sense, have a really cool leadership book club type thing. And so we're going through Good to Great right now. We just finished it on Thursday. And in there it talks about like BHAG, and so we had some jokes about like the BHAG goals that we want to set for ourselves. And I think it's so much of the importance has to be not just on the business aspect of it, but the personal aspect of it, right? Like you can't just have business goals. You need to have your personal goals as well, so that you can align the two, you know. And if you're not happy in one area or the other, if you're not happy at business, you're probably not going to be happy at home. Not happy at home, you're not going to be happy at business, right? And that's
You're just so right.
And that's one of the things we try and tell our technicians as well. And like, and Princess is amazing at this, you know, who's sitting over there. She's a rock star as far as helping our company culture, right? She does a great job of our company culture and keeping that where it's at. Because that's one of the things that we talk about as well. Like, I can't, if my employees aren't happy, right? If they're not happy coming to work every day, how do I expect them to make my customers' experience happy? Right? So that is one thing that we really drive home. Like, I don't look at them as employees, they're customers. They're my customers, right? They're our internal customers, and we have to take care of our internal customers first. Then they can take care of our external customers.
What's your BHAG then?
So right now our BHAG is, and it's really funny because we started this, and this year will pretty much hit the BHAG that I thought was like impossible 4 years ago that we set in place, right? Which was to reach that $25 million mark. And so then out of the next one is to get to that $50 million mark is our next big one.
How do you have like a roadmap of how you're going to get there, and like what needs
we
to
do
happen?
Broken down on kind of what our growth needs to be in each department every year to get that and to achieve that piece.
And you guys have multiple locations?
We don't, just the location here in Phoenix.
Okay, the one, and that's centralized where everybody comes in and trains. Check-ins, like the technicians, you guys have your, like, not, I don't want to call it buses, but trucks, equipment trucks. What do you call that? Equipment trucks?
Just service trucks,
Oh, service trucks, okay, And so you have like a fleet of those, and everybody checks in, grabs the vehicle, then.
Yeah,
goes
so
out on
actually
the
our
road?
technicians do take them home.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And mainly we're a 24/7 company. So, I mean, if you have a plumbing issue in the middle of the night, right, like your house starts flooding, by the time I send a
Take
tech
down
to
this
go pick
man's
up a
number.
truck, right, like, so we're 24/7, so we can get a technician that'll be dispatched from his house
good.
straight to you to get out there quick,
Oh,
as
that's
quick as
awesome.
possible. So then we have everybody located valley-wide, and then they can run straight to the calls, and then they come in at least minimum once a week because every department has a separate training meeting once a week, and then of course, the managers are all in office, and even though the ones that are kind of half field, half office, they come in every morning. We do like a morning huddle together as a leadership team, and then they head out. But yeah, the technicians, they come in at least once a week or twice a week to pick up their inventory, drop off payments, do that kind of stuff. But yeah, for the most part, they're able to take their trucks and get dispatched from home.
You mentioned earlier a swag shop.
Yes.
Do people buy merchandise from your?
They do.
Store,
That
or
was kind of
how does that
a
work?
big goal when we started our swag shop. And Princess has yet again been amazing in putting that piece together and come up with a lot of those ideas. But my biggest thing was, like, I don't want just uniform stuff, right? Like, I want stuff that the guys think is cool enough that they're going to wear it on the weekend, right? They're going to wear it after hours. They're going to wear it out.
You're a walking billboard.
Yeah, and it has been amazing. We've kind of taken our Penguin logo and done a ton with it. Branded Bills has helped here locally, kind of help do a lot of that swag. Like I said, we have the ammo cans, we have, you know, different cups and stuff and T-shirts, and we've just wanted to make it fun, and we've wanted to make it to where, yeah, like your employees, we also do awards as well, though we give out poker chips
Oh, cool.
in different amounts that have a Penguin logo on them, and then so like the guys can win that for different awards throughout the week or the month, and then like for birthdays they get poker chips, and then the poker chips they can cash in at the swag store to buy whatever swag they want.
Jay,
as well.
how many poker chips you have? you got like all of them. You got all the levels. You got like
She was
50 of
actually
them.
just giving me a hard time before we walked out of my office today, saying, "What are you gonna do with all those poker chips on your desk?"
Ah, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna cash them
yeah,
in for
yeah.
some Christmas time.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, but that's cool. So does your wife bring the kids around into the business too? Do they get to see the warehouse and check it out?
So they
and all
do.
that?
So my kids, you know, we try and be a very family friendly atmosphere. You know, several times the employees have had, hey, babysitter canceled, whatever, and they've brought the kids into school or into work. I bring my kids in usually. A couple times throughout the summer. Sometimes I'll do it individually, sometimes as a group. Like sometimes they can come and hang out with, daddy-daughter date, and where she goes, and we do lunch and that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're present, and then we also love, of course, too. We usually have at least a dog or two running around the office because we
That's
allow
cool.
people to bring their pets in and stuff as well. So
Neat.
try and have that. Right, we know that people spend the majority of their time
Yes,
at
they
work,
do.
not at home, right?
Yes,
so
they do.
trying to make that atmosphere and that culture really
Yeah.
fun. So like I say, where they enjoy coming to work as well.
That's cool. Not a lot of people have that. A lot of people out there are just like, what can I take from this business? Not what can I contribute.
Yeah.
What can I think about an employee's experience, not just the client experience.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can see that is neat. So I want to talk about a little bit of a code for hiring. Like we have a code of honor for hiring. There's certain things that we're looking for in a person. We're looking for effort. We're looking for how coachable that you are. We do not hire people for a paycheck, for an example. So a lot of companies are like, hey, come work for me because this is my last month's paycheck and you can make this amount of money. The problem with that is if you hire them for that reason, and if that check doesn't show up to what you said, they're going to dip out and they're going to find somebody else, and they're going to be golden handcuff syndrome working for the money. So we don't hire people for the paycheck and the money. So we have like a code of honor that we live by. So do you guys have like a code of honor when you're looking to hire somebody new onto the team?
Yeah, and I think that is, it's so important, right? I'd love that you guys do that because that is one of the big things that we are like, one of our big core values is care. And we just talked about this in the leadership team on this last Thursday, and I'm like, listen, but care can be a couple of different things. Do they care about the paycheck? Or do they care about their customer, right? And those are a couple of things that it's like we have to be careful with what they care about, right? And it is, and that's one of the things. Like we will absolutely hire somebody on personality. We can train the skills.
Yep.
Like we can train the skills piece. Our big space, and that's why we have like our big building next door that we opened up where all our training's done. We call it Penguin U. Right, and we want to bring people in.
Did Princess come up with that one? Was that her? Penguin you? She's like, yes, it is, but it's okay. I will be humble and not take the credit.
So we love finding people that aren't even in the industry at all, and bringing them up. And it's like, man, if you got a great attitude, great personality, you want to learn, you want to work hard, will absolutely bring you in and train you and give you a career in the trades.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's we had one time. I'll give you an insider of how the way that we operate. So I told you about like the way that you treat your spouse behind the scenes too. But there was this guy that came in one day, and I think he was going to work like in our media department. I can't remember, but something that we do is we walk out to the parking lot, and before we even get to know them and who they are, we ask to see the inside of their car. And they open up the car, and it's just filthy, laundry, nasty, old cups in there, fast food wrappers. And we're just like, man, this just isn't going to be a right fit. Like, you could go to all of our cars right now, everybody that's part of our Army or Elliott Army, walk out there, and all of our cars are like spotless clean. Well, not spotless, but clean, but it's picked up, it's well maintenance. And it's just like, we look at that, and I'm like, if that is your standard right there of the way that you live in your car, your house is probably like that, you're probably going to be like that here. So we just won't hire them because we just know that.
Yeah, no, I love that. We have a little saying that we talk about is how you show up somewhere is how you show up anywhere.
Everywhere.
Right? And that's it. Like, it's
do you guys do you guys do like, do you guys go to self-development? Like, I'll give you an example. We went to Patrick Bet-David. Our whole company, we shut our company down, and we went to Patrick Bet-David's The Vault for 3 days. Do you guys do that? Like, train, or at least you and the management team have to do something like that, where you do like a 3-day excursion someplace? And
we do. It's been, sadly, it's been too long. It's been well over a year since we've done our last one. We need to get back into it. It's been a little bit crazy, and then with the COVID stuff coming out of that. We did one right after COVID, but we haven't done one yet. And this year as well, like, I'm going out to Florida in a couple weeks, and it just worked out where I'm only taking one of the managers with me on that trip. But that's kind of, we're going, I don't know if you guys know about, like, Nexstar, their setup.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's like just kind of that trades setup, like, right there, very involved in the trades piece. But they are that, like, we're going to go, Arnold, I get to go see Arnold speak, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, is he speaking out there?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's
so super
cool.
excited about that one. So,
I encourage you to go to Patrick Bet-David's event. A lot of us, I think 10 of us got like CEO tickets. We all got CEO tickets for the next year again. Phenomenal in business, leadership. I mean, everything. It's 3 days, so it's quite long, and it's from like 7 to 10. It's 3 hardcore straight days, like, and then when you go home, he gives you homework, and so like it's back to your hotel, so it's like not easy. But I'm glad that you guys do that, because if you guys keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you're going to continue to get the same results. And if you guys don't change and take in new information, the company is going to stay the same. So like, everybody needs to be processing, and I love that you guys have like a book club. Too. I mean, self-development is so important. We're all constantly like reading, writing, taking notes, and that's important to us too. What's a book that you're currently reading right now?
So I say we just finished Good to Great. So we'll actually I'm putting it on my leadership team.
Yes.
Our leaderships are every Thursday. So tomorrow they get to choose the next book that we're gonna dive into. So
do you have like a list of them, and then they can choose which one, or how does that work?
So usually I'll let them bring in ideas, right? So like each leader will be able to bring in their ideas on what book we want to dive into next. And then after they've kind of listed them out, we'll put them on the board. And then we'll kind of go through, talk about them, talking points on each one, and then really just vote on which one that we want to do as a leadership team. Is this for all
100 employees?
No, so this is leadership team. So this is just managers.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
all the department managers in a sense.
Oh, got it. Okay, so is that like 20 people or like?
So we're at 9 people.
Oh, 9 people. Okay, and then obviously they take that information and they share it. And
and that was kind of the biggest thing, is kind of like you brought up, right? Is that self-development. As I realized as we kind of were learning and talking, and I got this from another company as well, is the fact of, man, like we hold weekly trainings for our teams, right? Like each department goes through weekly trainings, customer service training, all that stuff, and sales trainings. But what are we doing as managers as far as trainings? Right? And so that was kind of where we implemented this leadership training every Thursday. Bring them in, buy lunch, and then we have a half an hour to kind of just eat lunch, and it's not work topics, right? Like it's kind of a point of like, hey, we're not talking about work for this first half hour. It's just, what are you doing this weekend? Those kind of things. And then it's diving in, and then we do like an hour session of leadership training. And it was just kind of that thing of like, man, like what are we doing though as managers to train ourselves, as leaders in the business to train ourselves? We're training our people, but how are we going to grow unless we're actually doing some training ourselves?
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
How do you, as a leader, because that sounds nice. Like, I'm just saying, if I didn't work for Andy, I'm like, I want to move to Antarctica and be a penguin. I'm like, I'm coming work for you guys. How do you maintain to make sure people don't get comfortable? Because that sounds like, I'm just like, I am a type of person that I'm never living in comfort zone, but I know a lot of people are like, my job's good, I got good money, the people are here are nice to me. So how do you make sure people don't get comfortable and they take that for granted and they're not, they say that they're going to go to the next level or they say that they're going to contribute more, but and we have it there's, I mean, it exists everywhere in the world. You got that one or two person that's like, dude, I know you're just coming here for lunch every single, like, so how do you, what do you say, what do you do to that person to make sure that they don't stay comfortable and they're not just kind of mooching off of you?
So, and I think that comfortable piece is the kind of the key word is, how do I make them uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do I make them
uncomfortable? You put them on freaking the news.
That's it, right?
You put them on the news and see if they pass out. I'm just kidding.
Like, I have to do my job of, like, asking them the questions, right? If they're not the ones that are going to speak up, they just kind of want to show up, like, say, do their lunch and sit back. It's like, okay, now, how do I make them uncomfortable? Because we all know that's where you start to grow, right? And that's where you see your growth. And so, but doing it a way, of course, that they want to grow. They want to jump in and kind of bring them into that piece. So I feel like that's my job as a leader then. And it is, a lot of times it's asking them the difficult question that they don't want to answer, and just making them go through that process so that, they aren't just kind of sitting back and just, daydreaming the whole time we're all in there as a group.
Yeah, that's important because we've seen that before where it's like, oh, I mean, you met our whole team, everybody's like shaking your hands, they're saying hello, but like there are some people in the past where it's like, eventually, actually, fun fact about the other group, we've never fired somebody. Nobody's ever been fired here. They have all quit willingly on their own because they can't keep up with the standard. Like they can't hold up to everybody else, so they just end up leaving because it doesn't work. But we've never fired anybody. We believe in continuously inspiring, and or if a position doesn't work out great for that person, we'll relocate them to someplace else where their skill set can be blossoming. What kind of benefits does your company offer? And I'm not saying like 401k, paid time off, like that's standard, but like what are you guys really offering for your people?
So, and I think that's one of the biggest things, right? I mean, of course, yes, the benefits and the time off and the fully covered health insurance, all that stuff is important, especially when we want long-term employees, right? Like that is what we strive for. Unfortunately, the trades is somewhat horrible for that, I mean, you can see ads all over the place where guys can get a $5,000 sign-on bonus in the middle of the summer for starting at another company tomorrow, And kind of like you brought up very early on in this is we don't do that. We won't give a sign-on bonus because that means all they're chasing is that paycheck. That's all they're chasing. So we don't do sign-on bonuses. I get asked a lot of times by people coming in, but really one of the big things that we do, kind of getting off a little bit on the side, to alleviate that is like Princess does a tour. She does weekly tours, sometimes multiple times a week with all new hires that want to come in that have applied for the business. We try and get everybody that's applied for the business through on a tour. Whether or not their application looks like it's going to be a good fit for us or not, we want them in, we want them to tour the business, we want to kind of show them the experience, we want to show them that we're not the traditional heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical company out there. We want them to see our facilities, we want them to see that we have the swag shop, we want them to experience, even in an hour or two, or what our culture's like, right? Which I was able to experience with your guys' tour here, like you just can automatically get a feel for a place, and so you kind of start already generating in them like, man, this is a place that I want to work, right? This is a place that I could easily already feel like I could fit in at, right? And so with that piece, I think that is kind of the biggest thing that we do as far as with our employees is we want to create a space that they want to come to work. Right, like we want them to be happy to come to work. We push them, like we push hard and we drive, and that kind of can be hard for some people, right? And it is kind of the same thing. It's like unfortunately, if you're not the right fit for that, right, they'll usually see themselves out, you know. And but for the most part, we do a lot of fun stuff as well. We do a ton of different family outings because we're very family friendly.
I saw that. You guys do a lot of community stuff too.
Yeah, we do a lot of community stuff. Like our fall festival's getting ready to come up where We take our big Penguin U. We have bouncy houses for the kids. We
Oh,
have
cool.
like the trick or treat for the kids, the trunk or treats set up. We do like all costume parties, you know, tons of candy and just, you know, dinner and that kind of stuff. We want people to bring their families in to do that kind of thing. We do another spring. We do one in the spring as well,
That's
kind of
cool.
kicking off the year, like a spring picnic.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a lot of that stuff. You know, every company out there can offer a 401k or offer health insurance, but I think it's doing those other things where, you know, if your wife, you know, your spouse wants to come on a tour before you start, like, we'd love it. Like, bring your kids, bring your family. We have in our swag shop little kids Penguin shirts, right? Because
cool.
we want that piece. Like, we want them to feel like they're part of the family as well.
Yeah, it's funny, actually, you could probably see Eva and Josiah, they both have Elliott Army shirts. Eva, do you have an Elliott Army shirt on?
Yeah.
Or Elliott? Yeah, so you'll never come across somebody in our company that's not Elliott branded.
Yeah.
Even when we travel, when we go to an airport, it's crazy. It's crazy. They're like, Elliott! And we're like, where are they? Like,
That's
people will
awesome.
just be screaming at us. It's even crazier with Andy.
Or, yeah,
Oh, it's crazy. Like, we
yeah.
have to bodyguard him. Like, and they're like, or sometimes like some of them will guard him, and then they'll be us, and they're like, oh, we just saw Andy 2 weeks ago, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's about to come through, and
Yeah.
we got TSA taking freaking selfies with him, and yeah, we have to be very like aware of that because sometimes like Andy has missed a flight before because he didn't watch the time because he's so
you're
like
getting engaged,
engaged with that person at the airport, so we have to like make sure that he gets on the flight. And that's so funny, but that's cool. That's part of like building a brand and your reputation. So what's your next level? Like, what do you personally want to do? What's the next step?
So
for you?
really, like as we've kind of talked a little bit as a leadership team is, and it kind of goes back to the very beginning, is like I want to help everybody else grow, right? Like I don't want people in the business, like I've grown up to where I'm at, you know, in the business, and I know that, hey, for me to be successful, I need everybody else to be successful, right? So like I need my managers below me, I need them to want my job, right? Like I need them to want to be
Ooh,
my,
I love that.
right? Because then if they are, that means I did a great job training them, and that means if I have the need to put them in my position, that means my position is moving ahead, right? And so that's kind of the biggest thing is I just want to see like growth. Like we're huge at hiring employees from within into management roles. We just had a plumbing manager that just started with us, and he was our quality control guy on the plumbing side. And we interviewed tons of different candidates, you know, for the plumbing manager position, but and ran him, of course, through the same exact interview process that everybody else had to go through. But giving him that opportunity, you know, he's already bought in. He loves the company. He loves the culture. And it's like, man, now we're going to give you this opportunity. We feel like you're the right guy to grow, right? To grow with us, to grow in this department. So I think that for me is kind of the biggest thing is just to, as we continue to grow, to make sure that everybody else in the company is doing the same thing, right? Nobody becomes comfortable, you know?
What I want to know, what's something that you're currently struggling with?
Currently struggling with, I would say on the personal side a little bit is, and kind of the fitness side, is being lazy with my diet.
Oh, okay. Let's get vulnerable.
Yes, that has been a difficult one a little bit, and I think a little bit on the leadership piece is just still making sure that I'm there for my team, that I'm consistent there with my team. You know, is bringing that consistency piece for them. I kind of had a vow. I had a manager way early on, an owner of the business that I was working for. And man, if he had a bad day, like everybody had a bad day at the business, right? And so I kind of made my vow at that point. I never want my day to affect the rest of my team. You know, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day. Of course, a good day I want to, right? Like I do want to help, like, you know, bring them up as well if they're having a bad day. But I never want them to know that I'm having a bad day, and I never want them to feel that, and I never want them to come to work being like, oh, Jay's on one today or something like that.
You know, I really appreciate that because I've worked in a lot of places like that where I have to walk on eggshells, you know, because I'm like, I used to have this one manager, his name was Brett, and I'm like, oh, great, either Brett's having a really, really good day or he is pissed off, and you are not going near Brett. And it's like, it's one of those days where I really need something from him, and he's happened to be in a bad mood, and I'm like, oh, why couldn't this be one of the days where he is in a good mood? And it's like successful people, like, regardless of the things that are handed your way and the cards that are on the table, you can always get by in life with just having a great attitude, like persevering with a great attitude. Like, I'm sure there's stuff going on in your life that Princess doesn't know, and there's things that it's going on in Princess' life that I don't know. But you know what? She still showed up today with a good attitude. She still said hello to everybody. She still shook her hand, and she could have been like, no, I'm just going to wait here in the car, you know? But it's like you guys are still having a phenomenal attitude no matter what life hands you. And that is the highest level of frequency that people are so attracted to. Like, there's people that, you know, as you've been meeting our whole team, I'm somebody that has a very, very high level frequency. Like, I'm very, very high. And I get around other people, and sometimes I'm like, dude, you're stressing me out because you're not as high as my frequency. But it's also cool because I get to pump them up at the same time. And people are like, oh my gosh. So one of my favorite compliments to get is I love your energy. So what's one of your favorite compliments you love getting?
So I think, I mean, I don't know, maybe I should ask Princess this one, but like, as far as, I think one of the favorite compliments that I do love getting is really that piece. Like, employees are never really afraid to come to me with things, right? Like,
they trust you. Employees.
Yeah. And even the ones that, like, yes, you know, I've heard like, oh, well, you know, we were intimidated by the boss in a sense when we started, but then we got to know you, and we kind of realized, like, oh man, like, you're a good guy. We can walk into your office and have a conversation, whether it's personal or business, and kind of find out, you know, what's going on, and you'll help out with that. You know, I just had one of my young plumbers come in the other day, yesterday in fact, and it was pretty awesome just to have him come in. And he was like, man, like, would you help mentor me, right? Like, would you just help, like, I look up to you on where you've gone, how you've gotten there. Like, will you help me do that? And I'm like, absolutely. You know, I've given him books before out of like my little, you know, book thing, and like they can always check out like some of my books up there. And he did. He checked out one of our books, and he was talking about that, and that was kind of one of the things that we talked about. And he's like, man, I would love that. I'm like, absolutely. Like, to me, knowing that people want that from me, that is like, that's huge. That's awesome.
How have you learned to stay so coachable? Because most people, they get very comfortable. They're good with the living, and you know, they think that they know it all. But you're somebody that is like, no, clearly you make it clearly sound like, hey, I don't know everything. So how have you learned to stay coachable and open-minded to new resources?
And I think it's the biggest thing is like, I tell people too, right? Like, we're getting ready to wherever we're at. Like, when we were a $7 million company and I was managing, you know, and I was the general manager, like, that was the first time I had managed a $7 million company, and we were 15 million. That was the first time I had managed a $15 million company, right? So, like, as I continue to grow, I definitely don't know everything. Far from it. You know, there's so much out there to learn. I think that's just the biggest thing, is just realizing that no matter where you're at, what you're in, whether it's, you know, I think that I'm in great shape, there's somebody in better shape, right? Like, I think that I'm a great leader, there's a better leader out there, right? I think that we're the best heat and air conditioner, there's a better one out there. And so just always realizing that there's better out there, and really that comes down to how do I find that? How do I duplicate that? How do I learn from them? You know, I like to do like learning lunches, you know, or learning coffee sometimes. I try and do one once a month. And that's just finding somebody that's smarter than me, that knows more than me, that I look up to, and just ask them, hey, can I buy you a coffee and can we sit down for an hour? You know, and really not having a script, but just talking and learning. And it's it's amazing in what that is, and trying to really learn from the people that have been there. And we've all made our mistakes, and it's like, hopefully I can learn from somebody who's already went through what I went through, who made a few mistakes, and they can teach me those mistakes before I make them myself.
That's cool. How old are your kids?
So my oldest is 13, 10, and 9.
Oh, you're very present with them. I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell you're very like active, and you're very present with them. And that's really neat, because I've noticed this entire time since you've been here, not once have you taken out your phone. And so that gives me clues in all these questions that I'm asking you. Like, you're very present with your kids. And a lot of kids need that, especially, I mean, divorce rates are so high. Like, kids need their dads.
Yes.
Like, the father is the foundation. You know, God, he's a man. Like, that is the foundation.
Yeah.
And that's neat that you have that, because a lot of people, they just, you know, you're very secure with yourself because a lot of people are chasing after money, cars, houses, bigger things. And it's like, no, you got to find security in you.
Yep.
Like you got to work on you
Yeah.
and also do like the hard stuff, you know, reach new levels. I want to talk about problem solving. So hope is definitely not a strategy. Like you can't go into things
Yeah.
like hoping and wishing and I think it will work.
Yeah.
So like, how do you handle problem solving skills? How involved do you get the team? Are you asking tons of questions? How have you learned to be problem solving? Like sometimes I'll be working on something and I'm working with somebody else and they just give up and I'm like, no, we got to figure out how. Like, let's find a solution, not just drop it. Like here, I'll give you an example. One day, you know, all of our core values were on the TV. Well, we had some electrical issues because it was connecting from our downstairs media office. There was like a plug that connected to all these TVs. Well, I don't know what plug that is and I don't know how that plug works because I don't know electrical stuff. But I noticed that none of the TVs were turning on, but it wasn't connecting to the core values. Okay. Well, there's one of two things that I can do. I can either turn off the TVs and be done with it, or you can find a solution. Yeah. So I have the core values on my phone. I went to Target and I bought 10 thumb drives. And I plugged it into my computer and I dragged and dropped the core value onto the thumb drive and I put the thumb drive on the back of all the TVs. An hour later, we got our core values on. Yeah. You know, so like that's problem solving. And most people are just like, oh, I'll figure it out for the next person. Yep. It's like having a piece of trash there and you walk past by and you're like, dude, you knew that trash was there. Yep. Or it's like that person that leaves the grocery cart, like by the car. And it's like, dude.
It drives me nuts.
Do the right thing.
Yes, it drives me nuts.
Like the little cart to take the shopping cart and go put it inside of the rack is right there. Yep. You know, so like how have you developed those skills to solve problems?
Yeah, and I think that's huge. I mean, real on the trash thing too, like that
bothers me.
I teach my kids. That's one of the things I talk to my kids about is listen, there's three people in life. There's the person who threw the trash in the ground, there's the person who walked over that trash, and there's the person who picked it up and put it in the trash can. Like which one do you guys want to be? You know, and I think yet again it goes back to being a good leader, whether it's in business or in the home. Right, that means I can't walk over a piece of trash.
Yeah, because then they're going to see you.
They're going to see me doing it, right? And now it's okay. So I think that to me is one of the big things. Like when people talk to and ask about like the leadership piece or the parenting piece, it's like show them the way. You know, it's one thing, and it's kind of that whole thing. Like right, people don't do what you preach; it's what you tolerate. Right? It's not what you preach; it's what you tolerate. And so that's kind of the same thing. Like I can tell my kids a ton of times to pick up what they do or pick up after themselves. But if I don't do it, how can I expect them to do it? You know. And I try to do that as well as leadership in the business. You know, if I'm not there at the business, at a certain time, if I'm not to my meetings on time, if I'm not doing that, how can I expect them to do that? Yeah. You know, and so it's one of those things we have. You kind of mentioned if people yawn around the office, you have to do push-ups.
Oh yeah, we all call them out. They're like, oh, Josiah yawned, so we all get down.
And so that's one of the cool things that we do as well. If you're late to a meeting, for every minute you're late, it's 10 push-ups.
Oh.
Right? So like just kind of that accountability piece.
Good, and you're getting jacked at the same time.
There you go. So, and it's funny, like you guys have the gym and stuff. Like I said, we wanted to do that, but we have most of the management team is, we work out together in the morning. We meet at the gym in the morning, and sometimes it's just two of us. Sometimes it's, all 8 of us, Do you
have clients that come to your facility, like to check it out or see anything?
We do, not as much.
Okay.
Not as much.
I'm sure because you're going to the house.
Yeah. Since we're all home. Every now and then we have a few that'll come in. For the most part, for us, it's in the industry, right? It's bringing the other technicians in. Yeah. It's bringing in, like I say, and that's why we want everybody to have a tour. Because like I said, whether it's kind of like you talked about the customer experience, we want that with everybody. Whether that person ends up being the right person for the job, right? Maybe they have a cousin that's an AC tech in another company, but they're like, hey, we toured this amazing, air conditioning company. You're working at a company that you say you're not happy with. You should go check them out, right? And so those are some of the big things that we want everybody to kind of go through that experience and to have the same experience, whether or not they are going to end up being a right fit for the team or not.
That's cool. I love that. You guys are very great at customer service just through the examples that you're giving me. So what's something that you have enhanced the past 90 days in your customer service department or giving better client experience?
So consistency. Wanting our technicians from whatever trade it is, whether it's a plumber, an electrician, an AC guy, wanting our customers to have the same experience from start to finish, no matter who they bring into the home. and that's kind of one thing that we've really been pushing hard is through the training. My managers, my leaders have done a great job in that, in their trainings. In, you know, if we show up to your house, I don't want it to be completely different when a plumber shows up to when an air conditioning guy shows up the next time, right? They're
Do you
running
guys put
through the
booties
same
on?
process. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I don't like shoes in my house.
Yeah, we have to, yeah.
I know. One guy came over one time to install some alarms, and I'm like, sir,
Yeah.
sir. I had to ask him multiple times. And my side of the family, my mother's side is Japanese, so not just sanitary reasons, but for cultural reasons, we see our house as our temple.
Yep.
And so I just bought him a pair of booties at the store because I knew he was coming back next week, and this kid wasn't going to remember. So good. Do they just carry it with them?
Yeah, so they carry them in their pockets.
On?
So we provide them, of course, boxes. We started it for breast cancer awareness.
Oh, cool.
Pink booties, but we've just kept it. Like, I love the pink booties. So
it stands out.
So, and even the same, like I say, kind of keeping up that consistency. Our guys show up to our training meetings, our monthly meeting, all staff meeting. You put on booties when you walk in the door,
That's
right?
cool.
Like, we have a tray right by the front doors, right before they go through our high five tunnel, and you put on booties. Like, that's just part of that process, right? And so trying to keep that consistency thing, and that's what we're really working hard on throughout the rest of the departments is, right, we want everybody to have the same experience, right? I don't want a plumber to put on booties and an AC guy to not, right? I don't want a plumber to go over, we have an agenda where they'll go over with the customer, like, hey, this is what you can expect today. I don't want one guy doing it and not the other guy doing it, right? Because
it's like going to McDonald's.
Exactly.
You know, it all tastes the same no matter where you go. That's cool. If I want to know if you got to hang out with Jacqueline and Andy for a whole week, like if you got to wake up in their house, do a cold plunge with them every morning, you know, watch the way that they treat their kids, come to the lion's den, be just like a fly on the wall, observe the whole team for a full week. If you got to do that, what would you like? What would you want to learn from us? What would you want to know?
Oh man, I think so much. I think even from Jacqueline and Andy, like I've listened to a few of their like relationship-based podcasts as well, and how they are one with each other relationship-wise, as well as like their kids, right? And I think I would love to learn. Right, like there's always things that I can do to be a better dad, a better husband, and then you transition that into, you know, if we started the morning with a workout, like, man, like what can I do better? What am I missing in my workouts? I wish I had a cold plunge, but I don't. But
that's okay. We got connections.
That's what I need to. That's what I've been trying. I wish the gym that, you know, convenience-wise to get would have a setup like that, but that's one thing that I'm missing. Do the sauna, but no cold plunge. But I think, and then to be a fly on the wall around here in the Lion's Den to kind of really see how you guys interact, how you guys really just mesh as a leadership team. And then, of course, I know I would pick up a ton of nuggets that I could take back to my team. I mean, just in the hour I've been here in the tour, like, you know, telling Princess, take a picture of that. Like
take
I
them.
like that. I love that. And because there's so much to learn, and I can tell you guys are very close to us business-wise, and I will say that we have a lot to learn from you, even from seeing, like, I feel like we're here and you have a step above on kind of all the things that we want to do. You guys are doing it and even doing it better, right? And so some of that stuff would be awesome to be able to learn and take away.
That's cool.
And I would probably have a few pages of notes, and my leadership team would be shaking their heads when I came back from that week.
Good. We like to send everybody back home psychoer, crazier.
Absolutely.
But we always have the eyes. The eyes come back home. We call them, Andy's got these husky eyes. We call them husky eyes. When people, they've just taken so much knowledge that they apply it back home. That's awesome. I don't know if I can bring you over to Andy's house, but I may be able to make other things happen, but that's super cool. Okay, and for anybody that's listening on the other side, what is the best way that people can get a hold of you? Whether, you know, somebody's seeking business advice or team building advice, or maybe somebody's on the other side that lives here in Arizona that works for another plumbing company that's not happy where they're at and they want to come and join your team culture and get a tour. What's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
So the best way to reach me would be email. My email is jay@penguinair.com, jay@penguinair.com. And then the other would be my cell number, right? The texting. If you want leadership advice, if you want to learn, if you want to grow, like, always open to that, you know. Or like I say, like, I'm open to like doing a coffee, a lunch, those kind of things, because I feel like that's where you learn a lot. And our shop is always open for tours.
Okay. And what's your phone number?
Anybody wants to set that up, 480-389-8395. And then, of course, you know, our website for the business is penguinair.com, and there's a ton on that side that you can get from. But yeah, I think that would be those best two ways to reach me.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And this is my last thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap it up. Who would you like to dedicate this podcast to?
I think I would have to dedicate it to my wife. It was awesome, like I say, having the prayer time. Before this, we literally did a little one on the truck on the way over, because I was just, not that I was nervous about the podcast in a sense. I will say I was nervous about a little bit of the content on, I am a private person for the most part, right? Like, so some of the sharing for me can sometimes be difficult. And she kind of said that, and we had like a little prayer just before that really helped. Like, hey, he's in control, and really, he's going to put on your heart on what needs to say and what needs to come out while you're there. So definitely to my wife.
Yeah, that's cool. You're the vessel. God is just speaking through you.
There we go.
You're just holding the message, and He's talking through you. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm grateful that you guys came out, and Princess too as well. Maybe next time, the part 2 sequence, we'll have her on there.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys, we will see you very soon on our show. If you're looking to go to Antarctica, please don't. 20 minutes away from us is Penguin Air, and you guys can come and visit them, and they'll crank up the AC for you. I'll see you guys next time. Let's keep killing it.
Hey, Elliott Army, what's going on? Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for watching. If you like that video, you're gonna love this other content. Here's a couple of other videos that are very similar to that one. Let's get it.